Hello, everyone. Jim Biringer here. Welcome to Around Campus College Football Podcast here up on Full Press Media as well, Special Team Media as well. Look, we got to talk about it. You've seen the shorts. You've seen it on Nightcap Recap on Instagram. You've seen it on my Twitter at Jim Biringer. We got to talk about it. Pro football is pro football. College football is college football. College sports is for the kids. Don't kid yourself. It's not student athletes anymore. Most of them are in the other sports. But with NIL and the transfer portal, it's basically pro sports, except on a smaller scale. The problem is there's no rules. Right now we got Dae'Quan Wright, tight end, was invited to Browns camp, didn't get drafted in the NFL, but got paid $25,000 signing bonus. Gets cut after 2 preseason games, going through OTAs, mini camps, and training camp. And guess what? He wants to go back to school and play. Unfortunately, he had his 4 years, 2 at Virginia Tech, 2 at Ole Miss, and wants to keep playing with Lane Kiffin. What does that do for the kid at LSU who's been training all summer to be the tight end of the LSU Tigers under Lane Kiffin? Just because he wasn't good enough to make it in the NFL. And there's a bunch of other guys, right? Zarian Harris, Wyatt Williams Jr., and like 15, 16 other guys that are NFL training camps that want their 5th-year eligibility. And everybody's blaming the NCAA. Oh, they're telling the class of 2022 they can't have their 5th year of eligibility. It has nothing to do with the class of 2022 or the 5th year eligibility. The problem is it's a judge league now. It's a judge era in college football. It's a pro era in college football. And we got to end the madness, right? NIL was supposed to be for name, image, and likeness. The Ed O'Bannon, EA Sports. Hey, we know who you are, but we're not getting paid. But, kids were supposed to profit off their name, if they're ads, sponsorships, selling jerseys, things like that. But what it became pay for play. Once it became pay for play, there was no union to help these players. So guess what? It was the wild, wild west. And the NCAA, that's why the NCAA didn't want to bring in NIL, because they knew what it was going to turn into. It was going to turn into a free-for-all. And here we are, in this era of college football where potential pro athletes, guys in the NFL, can come back and play college football. Now, we saw Louisiana judge put a stay on these 16 athletes saying they can go back and have their 5th year eligibility. The 10th District Court of Appeals said no, but if you were in individual lawsuits, you could fight your eligibility. We know Trinidad Chambers is coming back for his 5th year. Carson Beck had his 5th year last year. Now, don't forget, the NCAA is partially to blame because during COVID, everybody got to carry an extra year because some leagues played, some leagues didn't play. It wasn't fair. So if you were coming in during that time period, you got a 5th year of eligibility. But beforehand, the practice was 4 years, you went pro, and that was it. There was no 5th year. If you were a graduate student, that was one thing. You got a 5th year, or you redshirted. Or you got hurt and then redshirted. Then you got a 5th year. Now guys get 5th year, 6th year, 7th year players. Look, it's just bad for the game. Greg Sankey talked about it, right? Talked about the fundamental principles of college athletics and college sports is being put to the test now with these decisions, with these lawyers, with these judges coming up and saying, hey, these kids can play. And granted, you have a decision to make come the spring. Once the season's over, once the portal opens, once the recruiting process is over, you need to decide, do I want to stay or do I want to go? Now, look, Wright has 635 yards, 6 touchdowns for Ole Miss last year. It's not one of the best tight ends in college football. He wants to go make that money down in college football because he's going to get more money than he would in the NFL being on a practice squad. But isn't the goal to make the NFL? Like, isn't the goal to play professional football? But if you're not good enough to play, in NFL, are you good enough to play in the NCAA? And now all of a sudden college football is a minor league system. The SEC has rules. Wright's not allowed to transfer school to school outside of the window, right? Now, if he clears waivers, then that's a big caveat. He has to clear waivers. Now, it would be the funniest thing in the world if an NFL team picked him up and screws everything up that he had for him. Right? He has a contract in place with LSU. His agent talked about it, and Dan Lanning talked about it. Right? Everybody knew the common practice, the unwritten rule was 4 years, 3 years, once you got an agent, once you declared for the draft, the combine, all that stuff, you're a professional athlete. For years, the NCAA said if you got paid to play anywhere, whether it was Europe, another professional league, didn't matter. Once you got paid, you were not allowed to come back. And most guys knew that. Most guys back in the day wanted to get to the NFL. All the first-round picks from some of these top schools, Alabama, Miami, the Stanfords, the Nebraskas, the Texas, the Oklahoma, the list goes on. All these guys want to go play pro football. Now, Dae'Quan Wright wants to play college football. There's a process. You go from Pee Wee, to high school ball, college, then to the pros. If you make the pros, let's be honest, maybe he's just not one of the 1% that make it to the NFL. That happens. But you can make the money in the NFL. You could be a practice squad guy, right? But he wants the nice house, the nice cars. Yes, the system is broken. Yes, they need to figure out a way. But it's not Congress's job to figure it out. The 5-and-5 rule, right? Again, people want to come at me, the transfer portal opens January 2nd and 16th. No, it doesn't. Don't be naive and think these rules exist. They're opening the portal because he cleared waivers and he wants to go back to school. He's got a lawyer to do it. Even after the window opens, these guys are allowed to go into the portal. They go into the portal in December, in November, when the season ends. They just have to be in school by January 16th. Because if it was really a 2-week window from January 16th, January 2nd to January 16th, how these guys get into school? They already know where they're going. When the actual window opens, they already know where they're going because they have deals in place. There is free agency, but there's no CBA, there's no union, similar to college basketball. And precedent has been set. We saw guys from Europe come in who were paid that got to play college basketball. Tom Izzo not happy about it. Mike Krzyzewski, when he was coaching, not happy about it. Got Dan Lanning, again, saying what we've just been saying. Once you go pro, you can't go back. There's no coming back, right? You can't be, Moonlight Graham, Field of Dreams. Everybody saw it once he crossed the line. He was a doctor again, and he passed away. That's what happens. There's no going back. You can't go back. Once you go forward, you can't go back. That's the thing. And here we are. We're sitting unprecedented times. The NCAA is looking for the NFL to come in. Let's see if Greg Sankey is going to back up his words, saying we don't want professional athletes playing in the SEC. We saw what happened with Brandon Sorsby. Now a different situation with the gambling. But the conferences banded together and said, no, we don't want to do this. Now, the coaches in basketball and some of those conferences don't like it, but you have to get a leg up on your competition to win. We've seen it in with the NHL players, not so much NHL players, but AHL and ECHL players come back and play college hockey. That's not okay either. Eventually, we're going to see probably an NHL player sign his entry-level deal and come back and play college hockey. That's the way it's going to be because, hey, I'm going to make more money in college. Look, you got to get the rules right. The governing body is the NCAA, but the conferences enforce the rules. They have their own rules. It's like the Articles of Confederation when the United States was first born. What was the federal rules? What were the states' rules? States were really more powerful than federal government, so they created a constitution. That's where we're heading in the NCAA. But once you declare to go pro, you cannot go back, right? There's no going back, and that has to be written in the bylaws because it was for years. Everybody knew it. Juniors leaving, couldn't come back. How to make a decision. Also, if you went undrafted and to get invited, there were special circumstances for you allowed to come back. But you also had to be in class and finish your degree. We know half these guys don't go to school and don't go to class. And that's the other issue. So if college football is going to be the feeder system to the NFL, it's going to be a minor league system, let's just make it what it is. But right now it's not. And they're still student athletes. It's college athletics. And the system's broken because we allowed the portal, NIL, bigger conferences, just chaos, and nothing was enforced. Blame the NCAA, blame Mark Emmert, blame whoever you want. Everybody's responsible for the mess that is college football right now because everybody wanted a piece of the pie, make the playoff. That's ruined the game too because it's about winning. It's about bending the rules and all that. Yeah, everybody called out Kirk Cignetti for some of his starters last year, older players. He won. Ohio State's done it. Michigan's done it. Everybody's done it. But once you declare to be a professional athlete, you can't go back. And once you're in a training camp, once you're getting paid, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, it's over. Dae'Quan Wright shouldn't be allowed to play. Everybody's going to get a lawyer. Everybody wants rules until it affects them. Then they want no rules because they want it to apply to them. There are consequences in life. He made a poor business decision. Now he's got to pay for it. This is what happens when you don't get a degree. You don't know what you're going to do post-football because you think you're better than everybody else. Unfortunately, now's the time for him to really make some decisions, get some better advice. We have to say no. At some point, this cycle has to end. We're going to be constantly talking about it, talking about the portal, NIL, and everything. We need to get rules in place. This is probably not the straw that broke the camel's back. More is going to be coming. It's probably going to get worse before it's going to get better. But eventually, somebody's got to step in and say, hey, enough is enough. We got to fix this. It may not be the NCAA. Sure as heck not going to be Congress. But the leagues have to come together and form rules that govern this sport to make it fair for everybody. When talking about player safety, not 26-year-olds pros playing against 18-year-olds is not okay. We already have 18-year-olds playing against 24-year-olds. That's tough for the body. And you're losing roster spots, guys that have been there all summer. That's not okay. Professional athletes have no business being in college athletics. End of story. So Dae'Quan Wright can find another league to go play in, go over to Europe, go someplace else, Arena League, CFL's looking for dudes. Ottawa Red Blacks 0-9, 0-10. They could use some help at the tight end position. Can't go back to college football. Cannot go back. It's disgusting and isn't the point of being a pro athlete and being an athlete in general, going through the process to end up being in the professional league. The NFL is the best league for a reason. He needs to be there. If he's not good enough, maybe he's just not cut out for it. Let me know your thoughts. Jim Biringer here, Around Campus College Football Podcast. Get it up, Specialty Media, as well as Around Nightcap Recap Media. Again, like, subscribe, follow along. We'll be back up all season. Some great rants, some great takes. We got a lot of things coming here on Around Campus, the College Football Podcast. Take care.